So the Astro community on YouTube is just literally inundated with nothing but sales pitches and advertisements for the latest telescope, this and that, and everything else. All that stuff's great if you can afford it. But what if you just can't use it? And, I came to that conclusion a year ago when I had thousands of dollars of telescopes sitting around for 20 to 30 clear nights in Ohio. And then, of course, the rest is history. Now I sit here in the comfort of my home and I have two Seestars that are in Starfront in Texas. Here's my S50. I like to call it the potato because it's definitely got some age. And here is my S30 Pro, which has the perfect power box mod or whatever the gentleman calls it. Can't really remember. The beautiful thing about it is I actually moved it to a pier. So it is on a pier. It is in constant equatorial mode. Kind of sad that they stuck baby in the corner, but it kind of is what it is. But there it is. And there is that moon coming up. Anyway, that's a little bit of a long intro. I'm Chad. This is the Easy Astro Images channel, but I just have to say it because it just is what it is. If you can't use your telescopes, then what fun is it? And yes, there's bad times at Starfront. We went through a horrible April and May and the beginning of June, but now things are kind of turning the corner. But boy, when I really got spoiled when that thing showed up there in October and I was collecting more data than I absolutely knew what to do with. So let me tell you how I run both of these rigs. So by the way, if you want to support me and my scopes at Starfront, you can do the buy me a coffee thing or channel membership. I would appreciate it. I know times are tough, but some people like to spend money on useless stuff, and who's more useless than me? Not what my mom used to say, but anyway, let me fire up. So we've got Chrome Remote Desktop running here. These things are connected, the Mac Minis on the other end. If you ever did send one of these to Starfront, I don't know what the next generation of Mac Minis is going to look like. I see the prices have already went up on them, the regular ones, which kind of sucks. But I would highly recommend that you at least get something with the 512 and not 256 megabyte base memory, because especially if you want to run Nina and stuff and install parallels and everything, which is the way that I can operate these, you're going to run out of disk space. And I'm kind of running up against the wall on both of mine right now, which kind of sucks, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So I log on to Starfront. They update you constantly. They've got your Discord and all that stuff. You got your building cams and all that good stuff. Building 9, like my Seestar, is here somewhere. Building 3, it is all the way back here in the corner. You can't even see it back there. So they're running a moon contest for Seestars to try to get Seestar users involved a little bit. So I'm going to wait until about 11 o'clock their time tonight, which would be like about midnight my time, because I probably won't be able to stay up much later than that. And I'm going to just capture some moon data. And then on nights like tonight, where I know that it's going to be relatively clear, and even if they close the doors, the Seestars are smart enough now that if they can't stack images, they just basically stop. So they don't just sit there and run and try to collect data like shooting the wall all night, which is pretty awesome. So if I know it's going to be like a clear stretch of everything, I just run these things right off the app, man. Like, it just does everything for you. It's too easy. You know that generally if it's stacking an image in live mode that you're going to get a halfway decent images. I still take all of mine and run them through SAS Pro and drop all the bad ones and all that with the S50 and the S30 Pro. And I kind of just go from there. Now I'll set up a plan. You could set up one target, multiple targets, whatever you want to do, and just kind of fire off from there. So right now I got a plan that is running. I'm just doing the elephants truck just, you know, doing some stuff. I've gone through, and we can do some videos down the road and show you some cool things I've captured. Southern Hemisphere objects, just all that kind of cool stuff that you never, you know, could do. You know, I can't even see regular objects from my backyard because of trees and horizon lines, and I don't have to worry about all of that stuff. Now, both of these, especially my S30 Pro, the S50 will run with it, but it's kind of shitty, but you don't have to worry about it anymore because they don't sell it. Is I run Nina, and on how I run this on my Mac is I ponied up for the Parallels desktop, and you know, it's basically just like running a Windows emulator. I've got Stellarium on here, all that kind of stuff, and all I do is just fire up Nina. I've got some settings that I've kind of built in and all that kind of stuff. And this you can take as far as you want to. You can hook up to the roof monitor. So if they open and close the roof, like it'll automatically shut down your scope, turn it off, run all this kind of stuff. You can build your sequences as complicated as you like, just like you would here at home. You can make it fully automated and autonomous, where you literally don't even have to like turn on your computer or do anything. You can run the target scheduler and it will just pick and choose based on your targets, angles, moon brightness, and all kinds of other factors, what target it is going to shoot for that night. It'll do mosaics, even though sometimes it'll like shoot all of the panels and then decide to like shoot all like one panel and then decide to just like do another one, which is kind of annoying. But all the alpaca stuff works great. I use Stellarium. I just kind of like import my target into here, and then you can see like on Nina, what was I running the last thing? Oh yeah, I was doing a elephant trunk on this as well, until I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and use the app, because the app, again, it takes your darks, it does all that stuff automatically, and you know, you get a lot of mileage out of your darks on Seestars, especially the older ones. With the S30 Pro, it's not as bad, but with the S50 specifically, it's definitely nice to have like all of that extra stuff that's in there. The problem with using Nina is that the Seestars are a unwielding beast. The S30 Pro with the wider field of view and everything else is a lot better. So you wouldn't really run this like you would want to do a home telescope. You really need to not be super aggressive and just kind of let things go. What am I talking about here? Well, you don't want to constantly do autofocusing based off of like half lux radius or this or that or any of that kind of shit. You want to dither every exposure with these things. You want to dither a decent amount. Your center after drift, you don't want it like basically trying to recenter itself after every image, because these things will drift. And you know, I've calculated mine that I'm okay with like 8 arc minutes of drift, and after 10 exposures it will reevaluate and then recenter. So basically it'll drift and then come back to center, and then drift, and then come back to center. And with the S30 Pro, it's very predictable. It always drifts to one side. So when I set my targeting up, I kind of offset my main target just a smidge. So that way, if there's something over here that I want to capture, I know that the auto crop is this is going to be my side over here that I'm going to crop off. So 30-second exposures on the S30 Pro, you know, no matter how good your polar alignment and stuff like that is, like we are just kind of hamstrung. Some people will say, oh my God, I got 30 and 60 seconds at home and I send it to Starfront, like they don't know what they're doing, blah, 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 blah. Like there's just all of these elements that change constantly. Like you're not touching it like every day. And like the S50, I do 10-second exposures. Like I said, it's a potato. I used to be able to do 20 seconds, and then like they messed up the firmware updates. They did this, they did that, and the thing, like, it only charges like 88% now. Like, it's just getting older and it's falling apart. So it's going to be time for an update. So I do 10-second subs. SETI Astro Pro can handle it no problem. Just stack through like 2,500, 3,000 subs and we're good. And you take your best quality ones. Like, that is the key. Then I just have some other things on here that, as far as like, if things disconnect, reconnect, because Alpaca can be kind of flaky. And then, like I said, I just have my loose loop conditions here that, if it's safe and unsafe, like if it becomes unsafe, which is basically the roof monitor that Nina's always talking to, then go home. And then once safe, it just starts picking up and shooting again. So I try not to make these very complex. You can make them as complex as you want. The one for my S50 is basically the same. It's just a little less, a little more scaled down because I get more drift and all of that kind of stuff. So I think what we're going to do is I want to just show you real quick, like just how this works. So everything is literally unparked and everything, and I'm gonna send both of them to the moon. And I haven't done the Milky Way stuff yet. I need to try that with the actual S30 Pro, once we get like into some stuff and projects and all this stuff that I haven't used a lot. Now you can see the S30 Pro actually uses the wide field camera to help find the moon a lot better than the S50. So the S50, kind of is just relying on its gyroscope and everything else like that. And we can see, here that everything's moving and all that. I've got the pier cams, they were a pretty big necessity back in the day. Keep an eye on cord wrap. You can see that sucker is wrapping like right there. But it did nail the moon for us, which is awesome. And then there's the S30 Pro, and it looks like it is going to find the moon for us right there. That's pretty slick how it's actually finding the moon. And the moon is still a little bit low, and it is going to center the moon and everything for us. I mean, you can't beat this stuff. It's just so easy. I mean, it's just amazing. So we'll go here. Yes, we are in view. And then it's just going to track it. And then I'm just going to start like, capturing some video and everything. And I mean, it's a solid moon picture already with the S50. We've got nice color, all that kind of stuff. It looks just freaking great. Love it. We can reposition everything if we wanted to with the joystick. And then of course you can get in here and start playing around with all your different colors. I guess the S30 is a little bit of a way too wide of a field of view to be shooting with than the S50, but I'm going to try it anyway because it's like, why not? That's just what we're going to do. And then once I'm done with these, what I'll do is just basically go back and send them home, just especially for the S50. With the S30, I don't have to worry about cord wrap because it's on that thing that's constantly working and have no problem with it on the pier. The S50, I will send it home because, like I said, we can obviously see right here that the cord is wrapped around, and when I send it home, it will unwrap all that and be fine. The logic has improved quite a bit with ZWO. So, but you can just see that like it's just struggling to just even track the moon like appropriately. It's totally drifting on it. And I mean, I think we've only been on the moon for like a minute or two. So, that's unfortunate. S30 Pro, it's just like, it's like locked in there, man. Like, it's just like, that's where it's at. And you can do some zooming and all that kind of stuff. That's cool. It is what it is. So That's how we run everything at Starfront, guys. I mean, highly encourage anybody, if you can afford like the 150 a month or something with like a small scope or something, to send it down there. Like, you will not be disappointed. Like, I encourage everybody, just, they even have like Seestar packages, I think now, that you can just buy a Seestar and stuff from them, and just they'll set it up and run it. You don't have to ship and do anything, and you can just sit here and play with me. Like, you're never going to be able to capture Centaurus A, or like the lobster, the dragons, all that stuff that I've been doing by myself ever, like most of us from home. So, you know, like, it's a perfect thing to get for yourself if you're into astronomy. You don't have to send like your $20,000 scope there. You can buy a Seestar from them and they'll set it up and everything will be good. So that's it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this has enlightened some of you, and you know, we'll have more videos coming up shortly. So appreciate you all.